Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Dope Muslim Woman podcast family. This is your girl, the host of the Dope Muslim Woman, Sabria Mills, and I am ecstatic to be here with you guys tonight. As you enter into the room, you know the amana, you know the trust, you know the relationship that we have with our audience. So we ask that you go ahead and drop your salams. You give salams, warm salams, and of course you go ahead and stream or share the podcast. We like to know that we're in the room with you guys, so please drop your salams. Again, my name is Sabria Mills, the host of the Dope Muslim Woman podcast, and I am coming back. I want to know what number episode this is, but it is, I can't imagine what number episode this is, but I will tell you this is season 8. I have been running this podcast, alhamdulillah, for 6 years consistently. Season 8 is called On the Edge. I developed this podcast season in honor of being on the edge, in honor of really talking about the issues that matter. Lord, did I know, was I really unraveling some things, even in my own personal life? Truths came to the surface. Things that I didn't want to look at, I had to look at. I had to be really honest with myself during this podcast season, and I'm grateful because we are now at the end of season 8. We now enter into Ramadan. We enter into, inshallah, the holy month of Ramadan with pure intentions, hopefully with a lot more clarity, with a lot more sincerity and the willingness to do the work. We know how difficult these conversations have been in season 8. I've gotten a lot of, backlash and talk and all of that from all of you. But we know that they are necessary and they have been necessary. So we have a powerful show for you guys tonight. Powerful. Walaikum salam. Hey, I see my mom here. I know that my mother's here, so we can start the show. I have an amazing guest who I'm about to introduce. So this show is called On Both Sides of the Fence, and I am here with the amazing author of Both Sides of the Fence. Her name is, I know her as Khadija. Her official name is Diane Ford here, Both Sides of the Fence. And we're going to get in a conversation. In God we trust, in jail we pray. We're going to get in a conversation as it relates to love behind bars, life behind bars. We have an incredible show lined up for you. I want us to just open up this as I like to with a monologue. And I want you to kind of be in the feel with me, know exactly how I'm feeling and how I'm navigating this conversation. And inshallah, you guys can be there with us. So Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. All right. Welcome to the Dope Muslim Woman podcast family, where we explore the intricate layers through the lens of faith, resilience, and community. We are thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this conversation. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
All right. Sorry. I apologize. Okay. Today we're going to have a real conversation, one that isn't often spoke about in our community. We're going to talk about life behind bars, as well as prison marriages, love beyond bars, etc. There's so many people navigating this. This isn't just a topic to us, it's a lived experience. Our dear author has lived over 20 years of work inside of the correctional system, serving as a correctional treatment specialist, case manager, and case worker. She's seen both the light and the darkness that exists behind those walls. Let's be honest here. Our hearts can be sincere and our intentions can be pure, yet still vulnerable to deception, not only from individuals, but from systems designed to exploit weakness. And this is from our dear sister Khadija's words. In her powerful book, Both Sides of the Fence, In God We Trust, In Jail We Pray, author Diane Ford sheds light on these recurring patterns, cycles that can entrap families and fracture souls. Understanding those parents isn't just wisdom, it's protection. Now, you might wonder why the title, On Both Sides of the Fence. And in honor of some of the things that author Khadija shared with me, in the time of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there were no permanent prisons as we know them today. Detention was temporary, restorative. Yet today, prisons have become structures that define lives, drain families, and perpetuate generations of pain. And in the midst of that pain, our Muslim sisters often carry the heaviest burdens. we wanted to explore what happens behind these bars. And we also want to understand the relationships that people navigate. Some people are in marriages and we want to understand them. So we're going to have a powerful conversation. So I wanted to say officially, welcome to the show. I'm going to call you Khadija, Sister Khadija. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. How are you, Sister Sabria?
I am wonderful. It is such an honor and pleasure to have you on the show. I can just.
It is. It's an honor to be here, and I really appreciate you inviting me to the podcast.
There's
I
been a
want to
lot
start by,
leading up to this discussion.
it has. I wanted to start by letting the listeners know that how we actually got together.
Mm-hmm.
We had a conversation, and you came to me and said there are a lot of sisters who are asking you information about whether or not they should be involved with someone who's incarcerated. And
Mm-hmm.
you were honest and you said, Sister Khadija, I don't know what to tell them. And maybe you could share some light. And that's what I want to do, what I've always done. So let me give everybody a little bit of backstory. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. You could hear it in my accent, so don't laugh. It's how I talk. And just to give you a little backstory, I worked in the federal prison system. And when I started out, as a correctional officer in the operations area. So operations handles mail, handles money, property, inmate records. I got most of my experience of how the system works by working in operations.
Mm.
10 years later, I transferred into case management. So when I went into case management, I went in well rounded about the system that we were dealing with. And I could not help but notice on a day to day basis that there was so much going on in the prison system that we really don't know about. The average person does not know what's going on. And I asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give me everything that I needed to inform. I gotta tell everybody. I just kept saying to myself, Sis Khadija, Diane, you gotta tell everyone what's going on in here so that we can have a better opportunity to protect our families. Prison reform to me is a pretense. They're not going to reform the system because the system generates so much money from us
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that they're not going to change it.
Right.
And my philosophy is there's no reform. The only thing that we can do is stop feeding that system. We
What do
have
you mean
to.
by that? I don't want to jump. I don't want you to jump too far
Right.
without catching what you're saying.
I
What do you mean
understand.
by that when you say stop feeding the system?
Okay. Let's take for instance commissary. I looked up a
Mm.
little bit of facts about commissary.
Define it
Over
first for us.
Commissary is when you send money into the inmates to help them buy sneakers, noodles, just basics that they sell in the store, to shop in
Mm.
the store. The amount of money spent to buy those goods is next to nothing, but the amount that they charge the inmates is phenomenal. So a pair of sneakers may cost the government, federal, city, state government, may cost them about 50 cents a pair, but they will cost $50 in commissary. And families struggle to send their families, to send their sons, their daughters, their nephews, their wives, whoever is incarcerated, send them money to pay for the commissary. So overall, the government end up collecting billions of dollars
Yeah.
for the money spent. These monies are coming from our families, where sisters are using their rent money, where sisters are using their little bit of taking on a second job, taking a little bit of money from the food budget, doing everything they can to support the individual that they care about or love in the system. In the reverse of that, the correctional setting is made to be punitive. So at any given time, they can take away those items, they do. Be
Mm-hmm.
it a shakedown, to find a weapon, or whatever excuse can be used, they will take and throw away all of the hard earned money that we have put into our family or our husband or our son and throw it away, saying it's common. And then where do we start? The cycle starts all over again. The phone call
Mm,
comes, hey, they did a shakedown. I need money to get, I don't have any more food. They took they took all my pens, they took my notebooks. So
okay.
it's a system that cripples us financially.
Okay, so I appreciate that. So let me ask this. Because I mean, there's a lot to unravel, and I want us to really unravel this conversation. I want you to stay with us through the whole conversation through the eyes and lens of people who have been on, the inside or who are married to people who are inside. But, your book was really fascinating. By the way, mashallah, may Allah bless you. Um, you mentioned a lot about like sort of the psychological impact. First of all, has been your observation as it relates to the people who end up being incarcerated? Like what obviously we know black and brown folks, but who are most susceptible? What are some of the characteristics, some of the traits? What is it that you observe when they first enter into the prison system?
So the most vulnerable
Okay.
to the prison system is our young people,
Mm,
because our young people have no idea of what goes on inside the prison system. And they are more inclined to do things without realizing consequence. It's very difficult now for young people to want to have a job making $10 an hour and wanting a $300 pair of sneakers.
right.
It's impossible. So young people, we're in a materialistic world because let's face it, the system, this is a world within a world, and the struggles that we have here are the struggles that we have in prison.
Hmm.
But young people are most vulnerable because they get caught up. And I always tell someone of the story of a young man who once came to my office when I was a caseworker. And I was about to have my coffee and get ready to work. And he said to me, can I call my mom? And when he said that to me, it was very impactful because at that point I had realized they are scooping up our young people in droves. Our young men, our young women, our young men are looking for that opportunity to make money, the materialistic USA that we're here.
And what was he
That's
inside for? Like, could you say what was he? Was it like?
most of the young men get scooped up for conspiracy to distribute drugs.
Right.
Drugs is always a big one. It's a big. It's there's trillions of dollars in drugs. From the stories that you hear to the Colombian mafias and mobs, and there's always money in drugs, and they get young people to do this because they don't know. They have no experience. They're just in it for the immediate gratification of a few $1,000s in their pocket and they're good to go. They don't understand the impact it's going to have on their lives once they get arrested. Because at a minimum, they're going to get a 10-year sentence. So if you take someone who's 18
Mm.
years old and you
For
give them
conspiracy.
10 years, by the
Okay.
time they come out, they're 28. At 28, where do you get started? You're a grown man now. You're not experienced enough. You're institutionalized after 10 years. I can't imagine, no, you can't imagine some of the things that might have happened to them within that 10 years.
So can you? I don't want to interrupt your thought, but we hear this word thrown around a lot: institutionalized. What are we talking about? From someone who's been on the inside, who's been when someone is institutionalized, what are we saying?
Okay, an example would be you wake up, someone tells you when to wake up. It's time to get up now. It's time to go to the law library. It's time to eat. It's time to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
You have to sit here. You have to sit there. Um, you have to be in a room with someone you don't like. You have to be in a room with someone who's abusing you. You have to follow so many rules and regulations that you become adapted to these rules and regulations. So over and over again, you are routinely put into this situation of where you cannot think for yourself, you cannot move when you want to move, you cannot complain about your conditions. You are, as I call it, you're stuck. You have no, you can't call your mom for help, you can't call your dad for help, you can't call anyone for help. It's very even difficult to call a lawyer because lawyers don't like to come to jail. So the institution becomes your way of life, and as a result, you start learning from the people you're around. And where are you? You're in an environment of constant criminal behavior, psychological manipulation, uh, abuse, and it just continues over and over again until you no longer have the ability to really think for yourself, because someone is now doing all of your thinking for you. Someone is giving you all the rules and regulations that you didn't follow at home. You're going to follow when you're in an institution. So what happens is I can recall a situation where I was talking to a brother who had done some time. And I think I'm not sure how I had started. I get maybe Facebook media talking to him,
When you
and
say you were talking to him, like
I
for
was talking to a brother maybe through Facebook. I had met him
oh, okay.
through Facebook, and we started to have a conversation, and he led on to me that he had been incarcerated.
Okay.
And then he explained to me that he was living in one room, that to clean his room, he would move all of the things that he owned on one side and clean the room. And then he would move everything back to the other side and clean the room. And he was selling socks and jewelry to make a living. And he was still on supervision with parole. And this is what you consider institutionalized. He was still living as if he were still in the jail. Someone telling him what to do was actually in his head and his actions, his behavior. Because
God.
if you live in your own home, you clean the way you want to clean. You don't. But if you live in a confined area, that's really the only way you can clean, is to move your stuff from one side of the room to the other. I always recommend that people go on. A lot of young people, and I have to be honest with you guys. You guys are very young. Sister Khadija, inshallah, is well past her 65th birthday. So I have a birthday coming up. So I've been around for a little while. As a matter of fact, I've been retired from the correctional setting for over 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So the system has not changed. It's gotten worse, that I realize. But I still like to share with everyone that it's not something that you want to get involved with if you don't have to. And you need to talk to your children about it. But anyway, like you said, and I digress back to being
I want to
institutionalized.
ask though. I want to pivot a little bit if that's okay with you.
Mm-hmm.
So we mentioned institutional, like being institutionalized and what that means and things like that. So obviously when I brought this conversation to the surface, and this is the second time that Muslim Woman is navigating this conversation, primarily for the reason why you mentioned. I came to you and said, hey, like I'm kind of overwhelmed with an incredible amount of inboxes and messages for people that are navigating this. And when I put this feeler out, I was overwhelmed with the amount of stories, the amount of cases. There were many people who are popular content creators and that are currently married to people behind bars, who have fallen in love with people behind bars, etc. I'm curious a little bit, and I know we're going to speak, and I want us to be curious first, because we're going to talk to some people, okay, and then we can kind of add some context. But I guess I'm curious as to what is it that we're seeing here. Obviously a lot of people, there's a lot of Muslims in prison, right? So therefore, because when we see so many people married to people that are incarcerated, and I mean, you met them while they're in jail. I'm just trying to understand it. Can you help me understand it from?
So let me give you some information that might help you to
Okay.
understand a little better. Within the prison system, every year there's probably about 30 to 40,000 men that, and I'm going to focus on men right now. I'm not going to focus on the situation because women incarceration is totally different. There's a total different vibe for the women
Okay.
that are incarcerated. So I'm going to try to stay with the men. But on the average, maybe for per year, and I'm getting statistics from the computer, maybe 30 to 35,000 men who go into the prison system take Shahada and become Muslim.
Okay.
And that's a large number. And people often say, well, when you get into the prison system, you're the first thing, I laugh because the first thing, even an atheist, someone who's never believed in God, as soon as you get arrested and you get in jail, the first thing you're going to say is, oh God, please help me, because it's a horrible situation. You already kind of know some of the stories, not upfront and personal, but about 30,000 to 40,000 men turn to Islam, turn to being Muslim, because it's such a volatile place to have to live. So you're up against gangs, you're up against the administration, you're by yourself. And that's what creates the gangs and groups of people gathering together. Islam becomes more popular as a religious preference because it promotes discipline. And see, discipline is very important in a correctional setting because without it, people die.
Yeah.
So discipline, there's two things there's one thing that they say is a clean jail is a happy jail, and a jail where people are behaving themselves, it's okay to live there because they're living there. That's their home. That's where they have to live. So discipline is important because without it, people lose privileges. So one makes it bad for everyone. So if your only opportunity is to sit and watch TV for an hour, you really don't want the person to come along and disrupt the fact that you won't be able to see that TV for an hour. You'll be locked in because someone didn't behave.
That makes sense. So
So
that's the
it's so
law. Yeah.
Islam brings you to that discipline.
Okay.
And people who are incarcerated, they need that structure. Islam is structure for us. We pray, we meditate, we think, we read, we learn, and it's vast. Islam is vast. So it's something for people to gravitate toward when they're incarcerated. Now, out of those 30,000 people, you'll have to ask yourself, how many you think are really sincere to the religion? Are they gravitating toward the religion because they want the survival and safety that it brings for the time that they're there? Or have they truly turned over their life and now they want to live for the sake of Allah, and they're not going to do anything wrong anymore? So now you're starting to wonder, well, what is the level of sincerity, because there's so much manipulation and exploitation with it that you have to wonder, well, are these men who have become Muslim and looking for wives sincere in their quest?
What do you mean there's so much You're saying in the prison there's so much manipulation and exploitation
Yes,
in general? Like everybody's
yes,
manipulating everybody. You know what I'm
everybody,
saying? Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
So I got to, as because I was a case worker, I really got the opportunity to see people for who they really are. But not always, but that's not something you can always share because of the simple fact. I'll give you an example. Let's say I'm coming into work one day, I see a Muslim sister in the lobby. She's going to see the brother. Um, I can't say to her, well, he had three other sisters here last week. I
No.
can't say that to her You understand what
Right.
I'm saying?
Yeah, you get it.
I'm
Okay. Yeah.
exactly
Confidentiality. Okay.
right. So there's certain things that there is confidentiality that prevented me from actually speaking up on all the different manipulations that I might have seen with the brothers who said, "Oh yeah, we're Muslim," and even those who came to me and said they were Muslim or wanted to be Muslim, I really couldn't believe in that. I couldn't use that to give them favor or anything. It's like everyone, when I worked as a caseworker, when I worked for the jail for 20 years, everybody was the same. Every inmate was the same color, same charges, same behavior, same treatment, fair and unfamiliar. Because once you get caught up in choosing, you get caught up. And that's when they manipulate you out of a job. So it's like you're no, let's get back to my title, both sides of the fence. Okay. I'm Muslim. I'm bound to, I'm bound to the rules of Islam, but I'm an employee. So now I got to go along with the policies and programs and try to balance, you know. Um, I'm Muslim. The administration doesn't like Muslims. The administration doesn't like caseworkers because caseworkers help inmates with their problems. So it gets to be such your it got to be such a situation of me jumping from one side to the next, just trying to deal with all that system encompasses. So once you try to once you try to focus on doing exactly what you're supposed to do that your job description says you're supposed to do, you're pulled in two different directions trying to do that. You're on both sides because now you're on the side of the administration, you're
Yeah.
on the side of the inmates, you're trying and
Trying to
in the
navigate
middle,
both
in the
sides.
middle, you're still trying to get out alive because not everybody you meet is nice. I'm surrounded. I had a caseload of 192 men.
Men.
So if you could, yes, my caseload was 192 men, 60 women, and 30 witness in the 30 or so inmates in the witness protection program. So each different group required a certain amount of maintenance and
Yeah. And care.
caution. Okay,
Yeah.
but out of 192 inmates, they're all going to try you in one way or another. They're all going to try you because it's crazy because when you get inside the system and you deal with inmates, their objective is to see if they can turn you into a criminal like them. And if they feel like they can turn you into a criminal, then they don't want you to work there because then they can't trust you. It's craziness.
It's crazy.
It's
So
it is
so
crazy.
just bringing us back if it's okay, sister.
Sure.
Could I just bringing us back to when you said 30,000 a year, you said there's a lot of people coming into Islam. And so I guess with that comes the marriages, right? So like with that comes, and I just know there's a lot of Muslim women and they have expressed to me, again, I'm just speaking on behalf of what I've heard and I'm not representing everyone, but they said that they feel more safe, more inclined. They have the best connection ever with the individuals who they've met and felt. And we have some that will be on the show that they've fallen in love with behind bars.
So I was with a sister the other day and she was very adamant and she said, why would anybody want to be married to someone who's incarcerated? And it's because of the intense focus that they will give you. They're focused on you. They make you feel like you're special, you're needed. They're your emotional safety net. They appeal to your nurturing sense where you rescue them. And the reason I know all of this is because I read the mail. See, all mail coming in the institution has to be read. So you get to see exactly who's telling who what, how
Oh,
many different women are writing, who's really sincere, who's not sincere, because they will write to a friend and say, yeah, I have her on the line. And, I got her sending me money. I got her doing me this. I got her doing me that. But I really don't care about her. As soon as I get out of here, I'm a bounce. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm reading all the mail and I'm seeing all the manipulation. I'm seeing the exploitation. I'm seeing that you have 30,000 inmates, 30,000 people who have come who have come in and have not been Muslim and have reverted to Islam, but have they truly converted, their mindset to Islam? Then on the other token, you have Muslims who get arrested and go to jail, because I've met many people, I'm often surprised. I'm sitting and someone will come upon it, Assalamu alaikum. I'm just like, Assalamu alaikum. What do you mean, Assalamu alaikum? You're not supposed to be here. You're Muslim. You definitely are in the wrong place, because you would not want to believe that Muslims are out here doing things that would get them arrested. Or on the flip side of that is you can meet I have met Muslims who were so sincere and naive toward their own selves when it came to Islam, that people just got them into ridiculous situations because
yeah.
of the vulnerability.
Wrong place, wrong time.
Wrong,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and we're walking around. That's why I never really approve when when Muslim parents say, "Oh, I have my children here at the masjid, and I don't want them to go to public school, and I want them to just be hafiz, and I want to send them here to learn this, and I want them to be just in this little Islamic bubble."
Amen.
And then when
Let's
they
not go
turn
ahead of skills to
16
navigate
or
life.
17,
Yeah.
they done, and I just, and like I said, I've seen young people are most vulnerable, especially those who have not been exposed to what's really out here. one
Yeah.
thing one thing I speak about often is parents tell their children, oh, you're 16, you need a job, you need to go make some money, you're costing too much money, go get a job. But you cannot send your child out into the workforce without telling them about the psychological warfare involved in working. Because working
Mhm.
is not just go get a job and work. They're
Mhm.
going to come in contact with all kind of crazy people.
Mhm.
They're going to come in contact with people who's going to encourage them to steal. They're going to come in contact with people who wake up in the morning and go to work and they're on drugs, or pharmaceutical or otherwise. So when you just tell your children, okay, now it's time for you to go get a job, and you don't have you haven't given them any real insight as to what work is all about,
Yeah.
that's a setup as well. Because
Right.
then you're going to get the young person who, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want a job.
Right.
Let me go make some money.
Let me go make some
Then
money.
then
Yeah,
I
I really appreciate this, that insight. And I think just even me working in schools and working with young people, there is a school to prison pipeline, and there is sort of a cycle that, like you said, is psychological warfare, not just in the workplace but also in the school system. But that's a whole nother conversation. But what I want to ask Sister Khadijah, I want to pause you here.
Mhm.
And I want to get Brother Anthony. I see you backstage, but I do need to see. Could you come on camera just so I know that you're here? If you could do that for me. I do have a brother who I want to speak to, and I'm going to bring you back on. But before we do that, could you just remind us again this book? Could you tell
Yes.
us the name of the book, where you can find it, and we'll kind of keep talking about it throughout the episode.
Okay, so the name of my book is Both Sides of the Fence. In God we trust, in jail we pray. Pray spells Prey. We can also talk about why I chose that particular word to define our spiritual, contradictions that come involved with being Muslim and dealing with men who were being married with men in the penal system. You can find my book on Barnes and Noble's website. The hardcover, I believe, is $29.99. The softcover is $19.99. There are it's on Amazon, and I think there are the publisher did put it on a couple of other sites. So if anyone has any difficulty in getting a copy, they just have to let me know.
Okay, for sure. I have a copy. I've had it for a while. I've read it. It's a really interesting, very good read. So I do recommend it. But yeah, so I appreciate you. There's so much more to unpack. There's such a bunch of information. I need to hear so much more. But I'm going to put you backstage. I'm going to call again, Brother Anthony, if you're here. Your camera is not visible. So if I see you backstage, okay, I see you, Brother Anthony. Correct. You could just shake, Brother Anthony, could you shake your head? Yes. That if you're ready to come on screen. Okay, thank you. Okay, all right, Sis Khadijah, I'm gonna put you backstage, but please don't go anywhere.
I won't.
All right, thank you, babe. Assalamu alaikum. All right, Bismillah. I appreciate you. There's so much more to unpack. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I think you got to pause your Dope Muslim Woman podcast playing in the background. There's like an echo of, are you playing the podcast?
Yeah, but it's off now.
Okay, perfect. How are you, brother?
I'm good. Alhamdulillah.
Good. Welcome to the Dope Muslim Woman podcast. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule. I really appreciate it. Okay, so I want to introduce you properly. I okay. So we're going to do this introduction. So I Googled you. So I saw a couple of articles on you. This is Brother Anthony Baltimore Sr. Am I saying that right?
Correct.
Am I allowed to say your street name? Because it's on the Google.
You could say, you could do that too.
Okay. Tricky, also known as Tricky in the Streets, right? Okay.
Yes.
So, I when I came across your brother Anthony, and I Googled him, and I saw he was known as a kingpin, and I saw that you were charged with a life sentence, right? Were you life sentenced without parole?
I got 2 life sentences, 20 years and 60 months.
Okay. SubhanAllah. Okay. So where do we start, brother? So first and foremost, if you could tell us just very briefly, just a little bit about yourself. I mean, that was quite an opening, but just a little bit about yourself so that the audience can be introduced to who you are.
I was born and raised in the Washington, D.C. area. I was in church my entire life. Graduated from Catholic school. Went on to attend Howard University.
Okay.
I came up in that crack era, and I was attracted to the streets. And
as a young person, you were attracted to the streets.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Got caught up.
Got caught up. Came up under some major people that are famous. And
are you allowed to say, or?
I mean, I came up under Rayful Edmonds.
So you're so Brother Anthony, just I know there's some background noise, but if you could speak up a little bit, just because some of what you say gets muffled, that would help us.
Yes.
Okay. You came up under who?
Rayful Edmonds. Several other guys in DC. I had a very popular detail shop in the DC area called the Car Beauty Salon, and through that business, I ended up meeting everybody in the streets.
Okay. So why do they call you a kingpin? Why do they say that you were a drug kingpin? And you talking to somebody that don't know nothing. So help. Why do they describe you as that?
Once you hit a certain level and you sell a certain amount of drugs, they're able to put that label on you, and the charge that comes with that is called 828. You have 2 828 cases. You got 828A and 828B. Both of them are kingpin charges.
Okay.
I was charged with 828B, which is a statutory life sentence, which means that the federal sentencing guidelines do not apply. If I get convicted of this particular statute, It's just an automatic life sentence. You die in prison. That's it.
Okay. And so one of the things I was confused about, and I know we're gonna get to it, but I was Googling and I saw where you were sentenced. And obviously you went to jail.
Correct.
But you here talking to me now. So I got confused. I didn't see what happened. So, and also, I don't know if anyone, but you were also recently there was a TMZ article about you as well that came out too. But anyway,
Correct.
we can get into that later. But I didn't see what happened. There was no information about how you're outside of prison or what happened. Like,
All right. Okay. Well, it actually is. My entire appeal is online. If you Google my name,
okay.
you can read my entire appeal. It's a lot, though, so I can see how you can skip over that. So, my very first direct appeal, I was able to overturn my first life sentence. They said it was duplicitous, and the court wasn't allowed to do that, and I had it overturned. Um, when I was originally charged,
Okay.
I never had any convictions. I've never been to prison before. I never was jail. So I'm 37 years old. I'm being charged with these federal crimes. Never been to jail. By the time I was actually convicted and in prison, I was 40 years old. So I'm 40 years old going to prison for my first time. So anyway, when I was going to trial, I had a paid attorney, and the court did every kind of cheating that they could figure out in my case. And one of them was disqualifying my attorney from representing me. And when they did that, they appointed me an attorney. And they appointed me the worst attorney that they could possibly find. So when I had my first direct appeal, I overturned my first life sentence. And then after you do, I still have a life sentence. I still have 20 years and I still have 60 months. What I was able
So I'm
to
sorry,
do,
how much time did you actually do?
14 and a half.
You did 14 and a half years.
Correct.
Okay.
So, I actually was sentenced and went to prison in 2010. By 2012, I filed what is called a 2255. That's basically where I go in the law library and I write down and I try to figure out all the illegal things they did to convict me.
Oh.
I filed that in 2012. Literally, I sent it in on a Monday. It was returned to me on a Thursday saying, we don't find any reason why not to give Mr. Baltimore relief. They gave me 10 days to apply for an attorney, and they gave the government like 15 days to respond. And they took that and they dragged it out for another 8 years before they responded and said, okay, you're right, Mr. Baltimore, to overturn my conviction. And they basically said, listen, you're going to take this plea with time served or we're going to retry you. So I took the plea, time served, and I came home.
You came home. Wow.
Yes.
Man. Okay. So I have some questions. I'm curious. So you said you went in at 40.
I actually 40 years old, correct.
Okay. Did you have a family at that point and everything?
I did, and so
were you married?
Actually, yeah, I was married when I was arrested, but I was not married by the time I was in prison.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So so I was Nation of Islam or whatever when I got arrested, and I wasn't practicing that, but that was the closest thing I was to it. And,
So hold on a second. What you mean by Nation of Islam or whatever? Like were you in the nation or?
I mean, from the time I was 18 years old, I had joined the nation.
Okay.
And but
okay, but you weren't really. You was really in the streets.
No.
You were.
Yeah, I was in the streets. Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Uh-huh.
So I'm in the county. My county jail stories. I'm not even going to take up most of your time because I could take up 2 hours just in county jail story. So when I go into prison, when I go in, and all of the things that took place, I became real belligerent and violent. So I was fighting the police, and they kept transferring me to county jail. So,
brother, I don't want to slow you down, but you are talking to a very naive sister here. So When you said you became very violent, you was fighting the police, are you talking about in jail? You mean you were
Yes, in
fighting the
jail.
guards?
Yes, correct.
Okay, because of things that happened to you?
Just because if I ain't like it, we gonna get it in.
Okay. So you were
That's
one.
just that's
Okay.
just where I was at. Yeah,
That's where you were at. Okay.
yeah,
Go
that's
ahead.
where I
Okay.
got
I'm
it.
sorry. I just wanted to understand. Okay. Uh-huh.
Right. So they transferred me to this one county jail, and I ran into somebody from the streets that I have some level of respect for, and he said, "Man, listen, bro." He said, "You got the whole world against you." He said, "They got a whole one half of the jail filled up with people to testify against you. I know when you read the articles, you saw that 60 something people testified against me, and that's the truth." So they were the feds basically. I never got caught with anything. They didn't have any wiretaps. They didn't have any of the evidence they need to convict you. They didn't have. So what the feds did was they went to federal prisons, state prisons, and they said, "Hey, if you know Tricky, you have anything to say about him, we can give you time off." So I had people that had 30-year sentences drop down to 5 years to testify against me. One guy had 22 years, dropped down to 2 years to testify against me. So they basically filled up the course. Some people I didn't even know them. I never met them before. I never shook hands with them before in my life, but they got on the stand to testify against me. So that's one of the reasons why I was kind of like really just belligerent.
Angry. You were
So,
angry. So
absolutely.
psychologically, like, tell me about that really quickly, if I could just understand. Like, psychologically, like, what is that? What does that look like for a black man in prison, knowing that like half the jail are people who testified against you, then you got the guards. Like, what is happening on a day-to-day basis in the mind?
So I was in Dayton, Ohio, Dayton, Cincinnati area, and it was a very high-profile case. Um, uh, I was very, very well known, so it was just every day was new allegations of something that I did. I wasn't even some states. I mean, it was rough, and uh, I was raised by my grandmother. She passed away while I was in there, and so I kind of hit rock bottom. And it just was like I didn't even really care how it played out. It was. Yeah, I was at the bottom. I was at my lowest place, and I
Okay.
ran into a guy. I ran into a guy that I respected from the streets very well, and he was like, "Listen, man, you need something bigger than where you at." I said, "What you talking about?" He said, "Man, you need to get right with God. You need to come to Islam." I said, "Listen, man, I'm not really trying to hear that. I ain't, listen." And I had Muslims around me on the streets every day, calling me. I'd go to the masjid sometimes, wait for them to pray. So he said, "Listen, man." He said, "I just want you to think about this before you go in tonight, because who knows if they transfer you tomorrow." He said, he said, "You believe." This is what he said. And excuse me, I don't want to be, but this is what he said to me, and this is
Go
what
ahead.
changed my life. He said, "You believe God had doo-doo on his butt." I said, "What?" He said, "You believe that God had doo-doo on his butt." I said, and him talking to me in that manner and just being that blunt with it, I was like, he said, "Yeah, you believe he was a man. So if he was a man, then he went to the bathroom." And I was like, he kind of blew me away with that. I didn't even know how to respond to that. He said, "Listen, man, I'm gonna give you this Quran. I want you to go in your cell tonight and read it, and don't think about nothing that you think you already know. Just read it, and if tell me if what's in this Quran, which they tell you the basis of your what you believe is in that, if it's the same thing." So, you know, I
That was
took
your
it
journey to
and I
Islam.
stayed up and yes, and I read it. I read as much as I could until I fell asleep and woke up and read it again. And I took my shahada the next morning.
Oh,
And
wow.
so, right,
Yeah.
and I used to have a goatee, just a small little goatee. And the brothers was like, "Nah, you need to grow your beard, man. Let it grow. You got it. You need to do it." And I'm gonna be honest with you. I I I I cared more about the Islam than my case. I ain't even
Okay.
when I took my shahada, and it was just like I felt like I lost everything already. They took millions from me. You know what I'm saying? My family. I ain't talked to my kids in over a year. It was a lot going on. So I was just kind of like, man, I gave it all to Islam. And when I was convicted, it didn't affect me like I thought it was. When I got sentenced and he looked at me and he, I don't know if you ever saw the movie Carlito's Way.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, in the beginning, uh, Carlito had an opportunity to address the judge, and he was, Your Honor, I had one of those moments when my case was overturned. I was able to look at the judge in the face when he said, I said, listen, man, you said I was unrehabilitatable. Well, in the time that I was incarcerated, I got my teacher's degree, assistant teacher's degree, housekeeping degree. I got I taught GED for the entire time I was in there. I had the highest graduation rate. It was a lot. I did a lot. You know what I mean? So
let me ask a question. I don't want to cut you off, but let me ask a question. So you did 14 years. At what point did you become Muslim? At what year point?
Before I even my second year, I did 2 years in the county, maybe a year and a half in the county, and I took my shahada in the county before I even reached the penitentiary.
Before you went to the penitentiary, okay. So, did you get married in prison? Did somebody assist married?
No, I never got married in prison.
Oh, okay. Can I ask why? It seems like people were getting married, right?
So yeah, so I had Kufar female friends that kind of rolled with me on my bit, and I'm just being honest.
Brother. So hold on a second. You can't say something like that and just keep going. So you said you had Kufar friends that did the bid with you. Does that mean girlfriend? We could be.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yes.
Oh, so you had a girlfriend.
So
yes. What was that about?
Yes, but
when you said doing the bid with you, what was that? What does that mean?
I mean, just kind of holding me down and really kind of being there for me through my thing, and my thing was always push the Islam, and I felt that I was that guy that when I came home, she'll take her shahada and we go from there.
She or they?
And
she or they?
No, just she.
Oh, okay. I didn't, because you said you had a couple of girlfriends.
No. I didn't, and I'm gonna be honest with you. It wasn't.
No, I want to hear, Yeah.
It wasn't like, one thing you're gonna find out. Well, anybody that's been incarcerated for a long period of time, people come and go. I might go 5 years and I ain't heard from them, and then you should pop back up. Hey, how you doing? And so forth. I mean, that's just the reality of it. Like people are gonna come and they're gonna go. It's the nature of it when you're doing a lot of time.
Now, are you serious about, just tell me the truth though. Are you like, you're doing a bid? So are you serious about these relationships? Are you just like, I'm just trying to do the time? I'm glad I got somebody to do the time.
And that's something I wanted to address. So okay. I was serious because the sister that was on earlier, she hit the nail on the head.
You speak up a little bit, just that background noise is still loud.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry. The sister that spoke earlier, she hit the nail on the head. She was absolutely correct. A lot of people come into Islam in prison for protection. I didn't need no protection. I was sincere about it. I was always a part of leadership in every compound that I was a part of. So, I was serious about it. And so it wasn't, and she's absolutely correct. As soon as you wake up, you're dealing with some level of manipulation. As soon as you wake up. When I first got to prison, situations would happen, and an individual that was not even there when a situation took place, multiple guys could break that situation down, and they weren't even there. And I said to myself, when it just kept happening, I said, I'm not gonna make it. I said, I'm not gonna make it because I don't see how they see all this. But it took a while. And so she's absolutely correct. You become a master manipulator, or you be able to actually have like a third eye and see situations for exactly what it is from being in prison.
And you learn people, right? You learn people, learn people's weaknesses very quickly.
Very quickly.
Okay.
Right? And that comes home with you.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like, that is a gift. That's a gift that comes home with you.
Or cursed. A gift or a curse. Right? A gift
Well,
or a curse. Because some people have not used it for good, brother.
okay, let me say this. Like my, and alhamdulillah, I don't want to come off as like braggadocious, or I'm saying that I was gone 14 and a half years and I came out and I'm doing just as good, if not better, than people that never went to jail. And a lot of brothers that I know are like that. And a lot of it is because of things that you learn in prison and again, so I'm just saying that I believe it's been a blessing to
Okay.
yes.
So, Brother Anthony, what I'm going to
Yes.
ask you here, I don't want you to go anywhere though, but I have a couple of my sisters who actually are I see y'all down here, are married to somebody in prison currently, or they were, or they got some situations going on. So I'm gonna bring you behind. I'm gonna put you behind the scenes for a minute, but I'm also bringing you back if that's okay with you. I don't know if
Yes.
you're
Can I give
around
you
or...
just one last thing? Can I give you just one quick thing? Real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
If a sister met a brother
Okay.
through social media or whatever that's in prison, right?
Mm.
You don't know nothing. You don't know nothing about him. Nothing. Like
Right.
he's gonna be everything you want it to look like. However, if a sister met the brother through a striving brother, a person that she knows to be a striving brother in jail, and he introduces her to him,
Okay.
then that could be a positive situation. And I just wanted to throw that out there because it's like it matters.
Okay. It matters. So hold on a second. I want to make sure I understand. So you're saying if a sister met a brother just through social media, Facebook, etc., that might be a red flag. But if she met him through another striving brother on the inside, it might be a green flag. Is that what you're saying?
Correct, absolutely, because he's not going to introduce her to somebody if he's he's in there playing, or he's in there faking, or he's in there on some mess. And
See, I want to
that's
ask
just
you
been
more
my
about that.
experience.
So don't go far, because I want to ask you more about differentiating. And I'm gonna bring you and Sister Khadijah back soon, but please don't go anywhere. You can put you
I
backstage.
got
You
you.
can turn off your camera, but I need you back
All right.
soon, inshallah. Jazakallah khairan. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. All right, ladies, I'm gonna bring you up. Naima, is it Joy, Laura, Lorena? Can you come on camera? If Lorena, okay, babe. I'm gonna bring all of you guys up. Everybody's good? Before I don't want to just throw y'all on the screen. Sister Joy, are you okay? We're coming? You're good? Okay. All right. Hold on a second. Bismillah, bismillah. Assalamu alaikum, ladies. Uh-oh, I think you're really, really dark. Assalamu alaikum, ladies.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
How are you guys?
Alhamdulillah.
Good. Oh my gosh. I'm so happy to have you guys. Okay, we're going to get right into it. We're not going to waste no time. So I'm sure you heard both Sister Khadijah, our caseworker, longtime caseworker that works with families, couples, etc., as well as our brother Anthony, who, he did a bid. So first of all, let's introduce everybody. Let's know who everyone is and what's your story. So I'm going to start with our returning guest, Naima. Naima, just tell us maybe where you're from, and if you're married to a person in prison or you've been in prison, just a quick synopsis of why you're on the show. Naima.
Assalamu alaikum, sisters. I'm Naima. I'm from India. I'm here in Oklahoma at the moment, married to a brother who's incarcerated with life without parole. We've been in for now 17 years about. When I met him, he was in for about 13 years. And
how long have you been married to him?
4 going on 5.
4 going on 5 years. Perfect. Thank you so much for that. Okay. And Sister, is it Joy? Am I saying that right? I can't hear you, sis, if you're talking. I see you. Maybe she doesn't hear me. Sister Joy X, you can't hear me? Okay. All right, Sister Laura.
Hi.
Tell us where you're from and tell us your story real quick.
So I'm from Texas.
Assalamu alaikum. Yes, ma'am. I can hear you now.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, Laura, I'm just gonna pause you for
No,
just a
you're
second.
good. You're good.
Okay, Sister Joy. So tell us where you're from, and are you married to someone in prison, or have you been inside, or what's your story?
Yeah.
You hear me?
My name is Sister Joy X, and yes, I'm married a brother that was inside incarcerated at the time, but now he is home and been home for 10 months.
Okay, how long have you been married?
I think it's a
We've been
delay.
married almost 2 years.
Okay, you've been married almost 2 years. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, Sister Laura.
Hello. Assalamualaikum. I'm from Texas. I am married to an inmate. I met him while he was incarcerated, and he's currently doing a life sentence.
Okay, nice to meet you. And
Nice to
Lorena.
meet you.
Assalamualaikum.
Salam.
So I am currently um pursuing someone that's in prison right now. We're not married. We've discussed it, and he is doing life without parole. He's been
Okay.
incarcerated for 5 years now.
And he's on life without parole. Okay. If you don't want to say, you don't have to say, but I'm gonna ask. You could just say, I don't want to say. Okay. How did you meet him? Since you're courting.
I my brother who's currently in prison, and the guy that takes the pictures, and I went to school, so we're from like the same neighborhood. And my
Okay.
brother
Lorena,
introduced.
do you have on AirPods or something?
Can you hear me?
It's like choppy. It's just choppy. Okay.
Um.
You sound
Okay.
better. You sound better. You sound
Okay.
better. Go ahead.
I met him through my brother who was incarcerated. He was the guy that take the pictures,
Okay.
and we grew up in the same neighborhood. So my brother introduced me to him.
Okay. Wow.
Mhm.
We have a nice group of people. I really appreciate this. I couldn't have put it together better myself. All right. So let's get right into it. Okay, Naeem, I'm going to start off with you, and I know you are returning, so thank you so much for being here on the show. Life without parole, and I know you've stated this before, but I'm going to ask you straight up because we're going to get to the crux. Why? 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 What? Why? Out of curiosity, why?
Um, why, as in why someone incarcerated? Why life without parole?
Both.
Well, okay. Well, before my current husband, I was married to someone else also who was incarcerated. Um, Coming from India, I'm usually, we're not really exposed to be dealing with anyone who's incarcerated or in the carceral system. We're not really exposed to that. I met both of them through social media. My
Okay.
ex, um, but my I met my ex because he just reached out and said, well, I'm interested, so on and so forth, let's talk, and that's how that happened. Anyway, when brother Anthony mentioned, if they met through social media, and what the green flag and what the red flags are, I absolutely, for the most part, agree with it, because I met my current husband also through social media, but I was meeting him, not by meeting, I mean connecting for work. My husband's a poet, and I was into freelance editing, and that's what I did for my ex-husband as well. And so that's how I met my current husband. But he has his work up there published. He had his first book published, and I met him to redo his work because I thought I could do a better job on it. And said, hey, you know what? I can help you with it, do better. And so that's how I met him.
So what
Uh,
was the appeal? What was the appeal, Naima, for you?
the appeal for me was his character.
Okay.
It's not, it didn't have anything to do with his carceral situation. It didn't have anything to do with any of that. It had to do with his mannerism and his character in the way he dealt with me. the way we did business. For a few months from the beginning, we hadn't spoken about much other than his work. You know, him sending me his work, me editing and sending it back. What am I charging for it, and so on and so forth. It was mostly that.
Okay.
Um, and his manners with me were very good. In fact, in the initial periods, he even thought that I was a brother. And I just let that be until we got on the phone to discuss more about the business matters, which is
Okay.
when he found out that I'm even a sister.
Okay. So
So
you were really appealed by his character.
his
Okay, we're gonna talk a
character.
little bit more about that in a second. I'm gonna
Mhm,
pop over to Laura if that's okay.
mhm.
Laura, you said you met your husband when he was already incarcerated through social media as well.
Hmm.
Okay.
No.
Don't be shy about it.
It was
Okay, what was the
no,
appeal? What
so
was the appeal,
I
sis?
met him. I It was because, well, when we met, it was through a mutual friend,
Hmm.
and I had I was going through a lot in my life, I guess, and I had just me and my I had a friend that he was incarcerated, and he was just coming out of prison and transitioning into back into society, and we were like carpooling basically to work, and he was just talking about a business idea that he had, like because he said a lot of people that are incarcerated, they lose touch with their families, and they lose touch, with people on the outside world. And he was trying to find a way to rekindle that. And I was like, well, I never thought about it like that. Like, I didn't realize like they didn't really have anybody. And he was like, well, I know somebody. Because I was like, that would be interesting. I said, but I can't, because I had a friend that she did like pen pals, and I don't trust that because I'm not giving anything my address or anything like that. And so he's like, well, I know somebody you can trust. And so he introduced me to him. He gave me his information. I wrote him, and when he wrote me back, his letter was extremely positive. It was genuine. It was full of encouragement. And so that's what initiated for me to want to like continue writing back and forth with him. And so like it just kind of went from there, because it was not the expectation of like becoming in a relationship or anything like that.
So
So
this is so I have a curious question. And
mhm.
if I could get if you guys can help me out, get some background feedback. If you guys can mute except for Laura, I want to ask Laura a question real quick. So Laura, you mentioned life without the possibility of parole.
No, he has a life sentence with the possibility.
Okay,
So no,
go
go ahead.
ahead. No, you
So
go ahead.
he's been in prison since he was 15 years old, and so because he's a juvenile offender, that it's unconstitutional to give them life without parole. But he has to serve 35 years before becoming eligible for parole. So he's coming up actually next year in 2027. He'll be eligible for parole.
So I'm just asking,
Uh-huh.
don't. So is that the hope? Like, okay, he's gonna have parole. The possibility is coming home, or is it like it don't matter? I'm just gonna do the time with him. Like, what's the thought process?
It. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that he'll get to come home. If he doesn't get to come home this time around, I'm gonna stick with him. It's not. I mean, we may. I don't want nobody. I don't want to live life without him. Like that's who I want to be as my partner. Like it's the ups and the downs. Like we've been together. Well, we've known each other for 11 years. We've been married for 10, and it's just so much that we have been through together already that is. I don't. I. It's not just. I'm not with him just for the hopes that he's coming home. Like obviously, I hope he does. It'll make life easier, but I'm gonna just write it out with him as long as things continue to work out.
Got it. I appreciate that.
So God willing.
Thank you, Sister Joy. Can you hear me? I lost Lorena as well. Lorena, let me know when you come back on. Okay, so this is the thing. I think, and I'm going to bring Sister Khadijah back on. I think what we heard, and I wanted to hear what your thoughts are, but I think one of the things that we heard is the level of manipulation that happens in prisons, and the level of manipulation that kind of, I think Brother Anthony mentioned, like that each, inmate kind of learns how to, have people, etc., things like that. Was that ever a concern during your process, during your journey? And either one of you guys can answer, Naima or Laura, in regards to, like, was there ever a concern that you were being manipulated, or maybe there, I'm just curious, like.
With my ex, yes, there were red flags, and it was something, because we're not exposed to it. My friends, when I this was when I was in India, and so we married on Zoom. My friend, my best friend, back in India, she told me too. She said, "Listen, babe, you got to be really careful with these situations, because a lot of them just want to pass time, and they're not really interested in, a serious commitment. Even if he says he's going to marry you, you're not even over there for, he doesn't have to do any. If you're going to accept that it's okay for him to be where he is, and you'll still, write it out and do everything, you're the kind of person that will give everything to uphold a relationship. He could take advantage of that, and I was warned about it too. And rightly enough, I did see that, because I was given access to his accounts and his information and everything. And so I was able to see a lot more. When I was asked to go in to find something, you find so much more when you go to look for something, right? You find so much more, so many more conversations. And I also did meet some other sisters who told me about how they were manipulated with, or they were played with, or how they even connected with this is, I'm talking about my ex, how they connected with him, and so on and so forth. So it is a very real problem. And manipulation is a very real thing in there. It's happened with me. With my current husband, with my husband, that was never a concern, because our relationship was not based off of, I'm interested in you, let's try to get to know each other. It was based off of a business relationship, which later then stemmed into a friendship of sorts, because he showed interest. He was consistent with me. There are certain things that you look for when you've already been through a traumatic relationship or a traumatic experience in the past. There are certain things that you pay attention to. The
So you
level.
said he was consistent. I want to just ask,
Yes, absolutely.
isn't it just easy to be consistent when you inside? I mean, that's what I would think. Or
No,
or no,
no.
no.
When
Okay,
someone's putting up an act, it's very, very,
okay,
it's little to no chance that they will keep it up for 5 years now.
okay. No, I'm just
No,
asking.
I'm saying yes, consistency, you'll see it for 2 weeks, 3 months, 4 months,
Mhm.
maybe, but beyond that is not in anybody's control to, hey man, this is getting too much. I can't do this no more.
Right.
Which are the exact words of my ex-husband.
Okay, got it. Okay, I'm gonna
And that,
pause you ladies both. Khadija, can I bring you back on for a second? Good. Okay. Okay. Hey, Assalamualaikum.
Like
Okay, I'm just gonna
Salam.
join. We're just gonna add layers to this conversation. So, okay. So there's a lot of women, and Lorena's back. Before I get to you, Khadija, let me get Lorena, because Lorena's currently courting. I see Sister Joy's back too. But Lorena, you're currently courting. You're in a relationship, not married. Found right? Lorena, can you hear me?
I wouldn't say we're, yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say we're in a relationship, but we're like pursuing one pretty much.
So I'm curious as well, like, mashallah. I mean, I know Lorena in person. I'm like, I know you got a lot of options. And it's not to say that you made a bad choice, but I'm just curious, What made you lean towards that opposed to the plethora of options that I know you have as well, that are people that are not in prison? So what made you lean that way? Oh, she froze right at the moment. Oh, we are having a tech day over here. We are having a tech day. Okay, I'm going to ask Laura. I'm going to ask you the same question. What made you lean towards the man behind bars over the options of the men that are on the outside, sis?
Uh-oh.
Because sometimes it seems like the options on the outside are not that much better.
What do you
I've
mean
been
by that? Let's
I've
be
been
real. What do you
through
mean?
I've been through a
Ooh, that
lot.
sounds
Like
strange.
I've been through the manipulation of being with somebody on the outside world. I've been through the cheating. I've been through the, emotional abuse, the financial abuse. Like I've been through a lot, and I just feel like with any relationship, whether they're on the inside or the outside, you're taking a risk. You never really know. I don't feel like you really can tell how it's going to go when you're going into a relationship. Part of going into a relationship is being vulnerable and giving them that ability to be able to, break your heart or do you wrong. And um so with my current husband, like I felt emotionally safe with him. I felt like I had emotional support. I felt like he kind of helped, he helped me through a healing process. And I just feel like with him, I'm like less likely to get my heart broken than, with some of the other people that I've, been exposed to.
Interesting. Pause right there. Very good point. This is what I've heard over and over, Sister Khadijah. I've heard this over and over and over again. I actually spoke about it on my story. That a lot of women are saying, I don't know who has the background noise. I'm not sure, um, but I heard this over and over again where women are saying they actually felt more safer with the man who was behind bars opposed to the men that are on the outside. Have you heard this? What do you have some thoughts as it relates to this, Sister Khadijah, based on your experience, 20 years working in the prison system?
Um, I'm gonna try to answer this from a caseworker's point of view. Okay, not a personal what the Sister Khadijah feel about it. From a case management point of view, I understand that these men confined in the penal system go through a lot of trauma that you couldn't imagine. Okay, because they're not going to tell you, they're not going to tell anybody of some of the things that they have gone through. Because I have met men who have been abused, sodomized, raped, beat up, oppressed, enslaved. They've gone through so much trauma within the walls that they look for someone from the outside that can literally take their mind away from everything that they have to deal with day after day. And if they find a woman who is willing to sit and listen and write and care, every human being needs that. Every human being, it is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us as human beings to desire love, care, compassion. Okay. So I do understand that they are or appear to be a lot more sincere than the men who are free to roam and choose, because they're not free to roam and choose. They can only attach themselves to women who are willing to tolerate their circumstances, because everyone can't do it, you know. Um, I would never say yes, stay, no, go. It's not good. It's not, I would never try to redirect someone's life on my own. Instead, what I try to project out to people is that you do have options. You should never feel that you don't have options. And you should never feel like, oh, everybody out here is a mess. Everyone has imperfections. So you're right. There are men out here on the streets who's roaming free that are just as, messed up with their circumstances as it is for someone who's incarcerated. Regardless, as it has been brought out, and I do pay attention to Sabria, your podcast, regardless of what they are going through, as a woman, you have to find you. You have to love you. You have to appreciate you. You have to appreciate independence. You have to, because one thing that I learned not too long ago, alhamdulillah, and I'm older than all of you, is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not deemed that all of us will die with a spouse. We're not all gonna. Some of us we gonna go. We're not gonna have a spouse. So longevity is not for everyone. Some of us want to be married to a brother for years and years and years. Not gonna happen. Some of us marry a brother 6 months. You gotta go. I'm done.
That's the road.
You're finished. Okay. And you can do that when you have enough self-esteem to say, hey, I might want to be with you. I might want the companionship. I want someone to talk to. I want that, to feel that emotional safety. You can acquire that from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You can feel safe because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is taking care of you, not the inmate in the jail. He's not really giving you anything. You're giving him. So sometimes.
One second, Miss Sister, I don't want to cut you. I feel like I keep cutting you off, but I want to.
No, it's all right.
Because we have such a limited amount of time.
I know.
Someone said something that I think was spot on, which is what, and I want to bring. I put it on the screen, but I want to bring it back. I think it was Hashima. She said, many women care more about emotional connection than physical connection. Naima, you said this before, right? Is it the emotional, because Naima, you spoke about this, but you are married to a man that does not have a possibility of parole. So you have already accepted for yourself, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you are not having the physical relationship, that you are satisfied with the emotional relationship because that's more important to you. Did I understand or hear that right from you the first time? Do you still feel that way?
Almost.
Okay, because someone asked, like, how are your rights being fulfilled in that
Yes,
regard?
I saw that too. Right. Yes. Emotional connection, a spiritual connection, and a mental connection is more important than physical connection. But I'm not going to disagree with wanting physical connection, which is why we have the visits, and we have, we hold hands every time we meet. We're constantly, touching one another because we need that physical connection.
But there's no.
We're looking beyond that to sexual intimacy. Yes, we do want that. We are hoping that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will show us a way out because he is innocent. We're working on.
Keep talking. I have to get my charger. Keep talking. I'm listening.
We are working on seeing how we can bring him home, and we have also accepted the fact that he asked me this so many times before we even got married. Are you sure you're willing to join me on this journey? Because it is a very harsh one, and I am messed up in my head. It's going to be difficult for me and for you as well. Are you sure you want to do this? And I've had my own, share of trauma. So what we're doing for each other is we're helping each other heal. We have been, alhamdulillah, we've had a journey of that. But we're not gonna dismiss that we do want beyond that too. But we have accepted that if it happens, alhamdulillah. If it does not happen, we'll meet in Jannah.
So I just want to be clear, though, Naima.
Yes,
you're saying that which I get. I mean, he had
him
to
and
accept
me.
it
I'm
when he
talking
was
about
given
him
that.
and me. Yes.
Right, but he had to accept it when he was given that when he was convicted of in life without parole. But you're making a choice every single
Yes.
day.
Yes.
Right. And
Yes.
so you feel like the emotional spiritual connection is just so strong, you'll forego that right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I feel so, just like how, Laura, is it, who mentioned, as long as I'm able to feel vulnerable and break down in front of him without feeling silly and like a fool, like, I don't have to be strong all the time. I'm not constantly providing for my husband. He is completely aware of the financial situations and the thing. He is very understanding. There's so many things that come together that make me feel like I'm safe with him,
Okay. Safe.
emotionally and mentally. I
Yeah. So
feel
that's
like he
that's
holds me
that's the
together.
thing. Okay. Thank you, Naima. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Joy, I haven't heard from you, but there was a real delay. So let's see if we can get it. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Great. Thank you so much. So Joy,
Yes,
I
thank
think
you.
your input is very important because you mentioned you were married to someone while incarcerated and now they're home. So you got to see the transition. Correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I want to bring a little sunlight to the rest of the sisters here. My
Okay.
husband, my husband had life without parole.
Oh,
My husband was incarcerated for 31 years. So there is a light. There can be a light at the end of the tunnel.
okay. So
So
was it
I
like the
don't,
Anthony Baltimore situation where it was overturned or?
yes, his conviction was overturned. We had newly discovered evidence, and that newly discovered evidence got us to another hearing. And then the conviction, we pleaded out, and the conviction was overturned, and he immediately came home.
Okay. So and did you say that you met him while he was in prison or you knew him from before?
No, I've known him since the age of 14. I was 14, he was 13. He was my best friend. When he got incarcerated, he was 21 years old. He still continued to be my best friend, but we had vowed to each other that at the age of 25, if we didn't marry anybody else, then we were going to marry each other. So our friendship continued throughout his incarceration. I did get married. He okayed that marriage to be exact. But I never once said that he was going to be there for the rest of his life. And he never said that. See, that shows the power of a lie and you striving to bring that into existence. We never said it to anyone. We continued to say, oh, he's coming home. Oh, he's going to do good. Oh, he's going to come home.
So okay, so when you married him, how long? Tell me again the years when he was incarcerated. You were married to for how many years before he got out?
2 years before he got out, he was incarcerated for 31 years, but I continued to stay his friend. We were best friends the whole time.
Okay. So how did you find the transition when he came home?
When you say, how did I find the transition
Like how
from?
did was it an easy transition? Were there some like notable challenges or things that people need to consider or think about?
Oh, definitely. Yes, ma'am. So the transition it's only been 10 months ago. And it hasn't been a smooth transition or an easy transition, but what is easy in this life? So when it comes to jobs, of course, you have a felony on your record. So he had to create his own narrative. He started his own LLC. Um, Also, if for me and my husband, while we courted while he was incarcerated, we talked. We were challenged, we would challenge each other with some very serious questions because what I didn't want to do is I didn't want to lose my friend throughout the situation. I wanted to remain friends, but also I wanted to marry this man. So some of the tough questions that you need to ask is what happens after incarceration? What happens when you come home? Will we stay married? How are we working our relationship? So we know that difficult times are coming. And when those times do hit us, we sit down. We sit down, we read our Quran, we pray together, and we make sure that we are talking to each other through the situation. And we promised each other we wouldn't get a divorce. It's not an option for us.
Okay. Well, I really appreciate that insight. That's very helpful. I'm going to ask some of the audience questions. I'm going to popcorn them over. I think Brother Anthony's back. I'm going to bring Brother Anthony on as well. I think the first question is, how are financial items being taken care of? Anybody want to answer that?
When you say financial, are you talking about while they're incarcerated?
I think the question is while they're incarcerated. Yeah.
Okay, well, I can speak on that. The obligations that I did have was the telephone, but my husband had a store and he worked his store. He ordered the items and he sold them to other people. So when it comes to sending him money, I didn't have to do that. I was blessed to not have to do that. But I know that there are sisters that have to do that. And if you believe in your husband or believe in your marriage, then I don't see anything wrong with it.
Okay. I appreciate that insight. Sister Laura, what do you want to
Yeah,
add any insight to that?
I know that's a lot of questions that people ask about the, the rights, the financial, that is our rights to be provided for. And I waive that right now. Like I know what I'm getting into when I'm marrying someone that's incarcerated. And when the alternative is him making, there's like little side things that he does. He presses people's clothes. He did a paralegal class, so sometimes he'll write appeals for people. He writes parole letters for people. He has a 2-for-1 store that he does. But ultimately, the alternative, if I want him to provide for me while he's in prison, then that's encouraging him to do illegal things. And I don't want him doing that because I want him to come home. So right now, I waive that right. I work. I mean, I was single for a long time. I was divorced and I was taking care of myself. So I'm able to provide for myself now. Now, when he comes home and he starts implementing whatever it is that he wants to implement, then, that change. And I feel like he's worth the wait.
Absolutely. Beautiful. And the physical part, that's also just something like you just wait. It's just like waiting it out, like being that you're hopeful that he's coming home, right?
It's difficult. It's not an easy thing to do. Nothing about prison is easy, right? So we make it look a little bit easier sometimes, but there's nothing easy about it, especially being Muslim. When you walk in the prison system, you are violated as soon as you walk in. There's the pat downs and you have to go behind the curtain. Nobody else does have to do that. There's people talking about you. So there's nothing easy about prison, but we tolerate it because it's the people that we love.
Hmm. Understood. Understood. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do, Brother Anthony, I see that you've moved. I'm going to bring Brother Anthony back on if that's okay. Because Brother Anthony, we have a lot of ladies talking. Sound like Brother Anthony. You okay?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, much better location.
Okay. Okay.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, have you been listening?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. So, do you have any feedback or perspective just from what you've heard, or just as a brother
Um,
who's actually done time?
no, I most of the time just being in prison, a lot of guys that had wives, and so on and so forth. Um, it generally works while they're locked up. It's just after when they come home is the rough part. You know, that's the problem. And like I salute the sister that was with the brother since she was 14. You know, I think the most important thing in that particular relationship is understanding that I believe he probably has one of the greatest fears that I had. I don't have a pension. I don't have a retirement. I have to do. I have to put myself in a position so that when I can't take care of myself, I don't have to depend on my daughter or my son to have to take care of me, or a wife to take care of me, because that is a scary situation to know that you're over 50, approaching 60, and you're relegated to these low paying jobs, and when you can't work, ain't no pay coming in. We're actually one accident away from being homeless. It's just that simple, because of the fact that the life that we chose, the life that we live, didn't afford us to be able to have something put away when something doesn't go right. So for me, like I said, I work 2-3 jobs, and I've been doing that since I've been home, and I've accumulated a lot of things to help me get from point A to point B, and I'm close to where I want to be, but it's not easy, and
Yeah.
and for me, you know, I haven't been able to, to have a relationship because I don't have the time at all, because I have to, I'm not going to put myself in a position to have to depend on anyone when, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decides to change my condition.
Makes a lot of sense. So you said something powerful that I want you and Sister Khadijah to expand on, and then I'll pivot back to the ladies. But you said that it tends to work. The relationships tend to work while people are on the inside, but it's coming home that's the problem. What did you mean by that?
So, um, you know, being locked up 31 years is a long time. Being locked up 14 years is a long time. And, you know, the amount of change in 14 years, like, I mean, even just, I mean, it was a huge change in 14 years. From 2007 to 21 was, I mean, I didn't know the world that I left. It, you watch TV and you watch the news, but actually being out in it changes. And you know, when people like when people say people institutionalized, you know, brushing your teeth.
Mm-hmm.
When I brush my teeth,
Mm-hmm.
I spit in the toilet. I
Oh,
think it's that, because it's
yeah.
nasty. I use the sink, but
Mm-hmm.
when you come home, you got to realize that you're in the bathroom. You're in a real bathroom. You're not in your room that this sink is utilized for everything, washing dishes, washing your clothes, all this stuff. And you wish somebody would spit in the sink. You wish your celly would spit in the sink. That's a violation. So I've been home since 21, you know, for a good part of me being home, I was spitting in the toilet when I brushed my teeth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Making your bed immediately when you get out of the bed. Make your bed, like, and I have conversations like this, like, you with a sister and you get out, and then what if she don't make the bed right away? That's institutionalized. Expecting her to have to do that. You understand what I'm saying? Expecting her to know, like because that's what you want, because that's what you were on in prison. I really understood when the sister said the guy moved everything on one side of the room. I understood that because cleanliness in prison is a major thing. So, yes, you used to take all your stuff, move it out the cell, scrub the floor, scrub the bed, scrub the mattresses, wipe down the walls, and then put your stuff back. You know what I'm saying? And I know people that did that every 4 or 5 days. So I respect that. I understand that part of that institutionalized. So coming home, you want to now, from a female's perspective. Okay, well, I got my man home, husband. I'm expecting this. Nah, you can't really be expecting anything.
Mm.
How are you expecting something? This man is being reintroduced to the world.
Mm. Okay. Really powerful point. Really powerful point. Sister Khadijah, I want you to add on to that, and then I want to jump back to the ladies really quickly. Thank you for that, Brother Anthony.
I know
Um,
I know
so
our
what
time is
is the
limited.
challenge when they come home typically?
Okay, I know we're limited for time. I wish our podcast could go on and on
I know.
because it's interesting. It's multifaceted. It's a lot of points to it. I think I learned more as a caseworker. I learned about the trauma of getting out based on everyone who came back. Because
Okay.
everybody who comes, we talk about recidivism, we talk about inmates coming back into the system and why did they come back. So I'll share. A lot of situations are built around a fantasy that they're going to come home We're going to work together. We're going to build the building. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to do this, that, and the next thing. And it's all based on the fantasy that you built when he wasn't there. But then when the reality comes in and he starts having to face some really serious challenges on the outside, that's when you start getting things start getting shaky. And unfortunately, the stories of what happened afterwards are sometimes not very pleasant, to the point. And then you have to realize you're dealing with someone who has for a number of years had their freedom taken away from them, and now, even though they're back with you, they still desire that freedom, and they feel like they have missed out on a lot. And to leave an institutionalized situation to the routine of running a household and the restrictions that are required in running that household, a lot of them say, I can't do it this way. I'm so used to doing it another way. I decided to come back. We couldn't work it out. So I understand situations where, like, your spouse, you're married, everything is going good. Alhamdulillah, I want for your relationship to, may you live together and, go to Jannah together, all that, we desire as Muslims. But I want you to brace yourself, because there will come a time where he is going to feel like he does not want to follow any more rules because he has done it for so long. And he's going to want a different type of freedom. And that's not the freedom that's offered when we as citizens, we have to get up and go to work in the morning. We have to pay bills. There are things that we're institutionalized to in our own home. We live in America. It's a very oppressive place to live. I know of a situation where a brother, he just up left and went to Africa because he wanted to find a different type of freedom. So what I'm basically trying to say is that, yes, you can have these you can have a vision of staying together and want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep you together, but brace yourself. Be prepared, because it may not go as you've sit and talked about it, and we've decided that we're going to do this, and we talked about that, and we're going. I don't want sisters. I don't want my Muslim sisters to be disappointed, to be brokenhearted over spending so much time and so much effort and so much energy into these relationships, and they don't work out the way that you would have liked them to work. Okay. And I know it's difficult for brothers, brother Anthony. I know it's difficult for brothers because it's a lot to endure when after you've been traumatized, to turn around and have to now be responsible for someone else who might also be trauma, because trauma cannot treat trauma. Trauma cannot treat trauma. If you've been traumatized in a relationship, you have to go into therapy and talk to an objective party who's not going to take sides, who's not going to judge, but is actually going to help you come to terms with whatever is going on with you. Trauma can't treat trauma. Two people who've gone through changes coming together, eventually you'll clash. It's going to happen.
The trauma bond.
Yes.
No, that's a powerful. I love, and I think my brother said you're speaking volumes. I think that's a powerful thing to say, and insight and another perspective. And I know people may feel various different ways. So I want to hear from each sister in the most concise way possible, because I do have a specific question. But I'm going to start with you, Sister Naima. What are your thoughts as it relates to that? And I know, I don't know how much you entertain the possibility of him coming home, or you think about it all the time, or how do you feel about what was said about that, transition piece?
I understand that that's going to be something that we'll have to deal with. My husband has time and again reminded me that he has PTSD. There's going to be things that he's going to have to deal with when he comes home. That he tries to prepare me for it and ask me if I want to still deal with it. you know, consistently checking in with me. I'm aware of that. Yes, and
And you're
mashallah,
just willing. What I hear from you is that you're just willing. Like it's just, it doesn't matter. Like you're willing to work that process
we're
through if
both
it happens.
willing to work with each other.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, for as long as I can remember, I hear Sister Khadija saying trauma does not heal trauma, and I absolutely agree with that. But it also depends on how two individuals want to deal with each other while they've already had their own trauma in order to come out of that. I don't. I've bled a lot on the wrong sources in the past because I've never had a chance to heal, because I've never had someone who is understanding like that towards me. When my husband and I, we built a relationship of friendship. We are best friends to one another. We talk things out, a lot of things. We never talk about him coming home as in if he comes home. We always talk about when he comes home. And we plan things around his being home and how he's going to handle being out in the society. People, I keep him updated on everything that's going on around me in the society where I live, the apartment situation, the living situation, job situation, so on and so forth. So he's aware for the most part. I started an LLC. I'm working on building it so that when he comes home, he doesn't have to look for a job. We can work together. I will leave for the most part all the outside work to him. I'll handle all the inside operations. We have those things planned, but we have also talked about, working through it. There's going to be a process that we both have to, you know,
Work through.
uh,
No, I
go
really
through
appreciate that. I appreciate
that.
that, Naima, and I hear
Yeah.
you. And wow, subhanallah. I just have this, I have this burning question, but I want to hear from each sister. I'm gonna circle back if that's okay. I
Yeah,
know
yeah,
Sister
absolutely.
Laura, I know Sister Laura and Sister Joy. I know you have a burning thing to say, but I want to ask you to pause for just a second. Brother Anthony, I have a question. I'm just curious. What is it that this emotional support that's being provided that is allowing for women to feel this level of commitment and loyalty? I'm trying to understand because as a woman who's navigated, relationships, marriages, etc., the emotional safety piece has always been a challenge, if I can be honest with you. Like, it's always been a challenge. So what I'm hearing these ladies say over and over is like what they're experiencing. Number one, they haven't experienced it before. And it's so valuable to them that it's like, I'm willing to do the time. I'm willing to forego my rights. I'm willing. That's what I'm hearing. I'm trying to figure out, Brother Anthony, as someone who's been on the inside, what is it? What is being said? What is being done that would allow for that type of like commitment and love and all of that? I mean,
I don't, I want to make sure that I'm speaking in general. I'm not speaking
I get
about
it. Speak in
anything
general.
specific here, but the whole situation, honestly, it's just easy to sell somebody a dream. I mean, it's I'm just being honest. I've
What
seen some of the brothers that have been the most sincere, quote unquote, sincere brothers, and I'll be like, you know, and they got two and three women on the line, and I'm like, wow, like that, like it shocked me. I'm like, I didn't even think you was on that kind of time. So I'm just trying to say that, like it's you know,
would it can you be more specific though? Because I think it's good for me to understand. When you say it's easy to sell someone a dream, what do you mean? Like, I'm creating a fantasy of life, or I'm so emotionally available. I hear all your needs, or what do you mean? Like,
so
can you
so
be?
so this and I again, I'm being general, you know, most, like, I still work out. I work out every day. It's guys in prison are in great shape. They look good. They got their youth, you know. And the sister is like, hey, I got me a show enough winner, and he's paying attention to me. This same level or manner of guy may not pay attention to me out here. And then now this particular level or this guy is now saying, yeah, you got me. You got me all the way. you know, and I'm gonna be there for you, and let me, what you, and then the level of running her situation from prison. You know, a lot of times, a brother can run a female situation from prison. Hey, why don't you do this? This like this. So she feels like she kind of really has a helpmate, someone that can actually, help her get through situations or whatever that she's been dealing with on her own out there. So, from that standpoint, it's mutual. But at the end of the day, again, as the sister Khadijah said, you know, is it sincere? Is there really a level of sincerity there?
Is there a way to tell the difference as a brother who's been on the inside talking to
Yes,
the men?
and
Okay,
yes,
how do you tell the difference?
right. And the majority of the time is when the sister was introduced to the brother by another brother that is known to be striving, known to be on it, like the characters. If she's introduced that way, like and then in another situation is, I really, again, I didn't know if I was coming home. You know what I'm saying? I didn't. I worked my behind off to come home, but I didn't know if I was coming home. So, you know, when you are these sisters, the brothers that these sisters, they got a lot of time. Now, the one sister is absolutely correct. The one that he came in when he was 15, he's coming home. There's no doubt about that. And unless Allah takes him out of here, he's coming home. I have too many Sahabas that have come home under the situation that she's talking about. But when you're talking about true life sentences and 30, 40 years and whatever, I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot. And that sincerity, when they come home, to just be like, hey, this is, you held me down and you're going to be the light of my world when I come home. I haven't seen that.
Okay,
I haven't. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it at
you
all.
haven't seen it at all.
At all. I've seen
Oh,
guys that got 2 or 3 years. They was introduced through the imam or someone that was in that situation. I know several of those situations that have actually worked, and they're still together now. But a majority of the brothers that I know and I met that have been, nah.
Okay. So thank you for your perspective. All right, jumping over to Laura. How are you feeling about as it relates to the piece around the concern when someone comes on
Um,
the outside, or and I'm sure you hear this all the time, Laura. So I mean I also have a lot of empathy. So I'm sure you hear this all the time. So how do you feel when people are like, sis, he ain't really real. That ain't how do you feel
I
about that?
actually have a lot of support from people.
Good.
So, I was a part of a prison wife group where it's a lot of us that our husbands are, well, my husband, he's in a state prison in Texas, so it's TDCJ or TDC. um is all wives or spouses, and we've seen it all. We've seen women who were married while incarcerated, married before incarcerated. We've seen husbands come home and go wild, end up right back in prison. We see some that actually work out. And there's one that she said it. She said it's easier when they're in prison. She said when they come home, it's so much harder. And it's because a lot of it depends, like, because every situation is different, the character of the person is different. Are they drug addicts? Are they alcoholics? Are they still heavy in like the street life? Are they selling drugs? Like, what is their character while they're in prison? And my husband, all he tells me is his character has to speak for him, and he really can't. While he's in prison, he has to stay consistent with his character, but there's only so much he can do until he can come home. And so it's like, I'm not naive to the fact that I don't think everything's going to be easy. I know that it's going to take work on both sides. We're both going to be adjusting. And, you know, I'm pretty close with his family. I've met his mom and his sister and stuff like that. We're all, his support system. Um, people that was incarcerated with him, they come home, they want to help him because they all say, "Oh, that brother is a sincere brother." My husband's the leader in his Islamic community, and so he counsels people, he mediates, he de-escalates situations, and so it. I know it's situational, and I know that there's people in there that's not trustworthy. I know that there's people in there that they only mean people harm, or they're selfish and they're only looking out for themselves. So sometimes you have to look at someone's character and like how they act when like if we're having an argument, how does he treat me? How does he handle me? Like, is he in tune with me? Like, if I'm having an emotional problem, is he only thinking about himself and his wants and his needs? If I'm having a financial struggle, like, is he like hounding me for money, or is he trying to like encourage me to find ways to where I can save money? And so I feel like sometimes we have to, just like with, and I said this before, just like with any relationship on like dealing with someone on the outside, you have to n- learn the flags. There's red flags and there's green flags. And just because someone's in prison doesn't mean they're bad, and just because someone's in free society doesn't mean they're good. And
Okay.
it's just you
Fair.
just come with different sets of problems, and you come with you're just looking for different sets of struggles is all.
Fair. I appreciate that. I appreciate that joy. Being that you have experience, and I think your situation is a little bit different just because you knew the person, outside of prison. So it's a little different. But far as the transition, that piece, when they say it's really difficult, most people don't make it. What are some of the, I guess you can say, or are there signs? Are there indicators that you have identified of like green flags that person is sincere and they're going to be consistent when they come out versus not, given your experience?
I think there's no one size fits all, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm like the other sister. I have a really big support group in the Nation of Islam. We have, we're all over the entire world. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a lot of people. And there's been brothers and sisters supports that I have that's been married 20 years after incarceration and still moving. I think it's and thank you, Khadijah, for talking about the therapy part. I think all of us need therapy. It's not, and not just somebody who is involved with someone being incarcerated, but as a people, we need therapy. There's been a lot that went on in our lives that all of us need therapy. But if you think about yourself first, you love yourself first, and then you strive to give the love to your mate, I think that it definitely can happen. There's a lot of people that have made it very successful. The second question, when you ask, is there any telltale signs? Of course, there's telltale signs. I've seen it both ways. I've seen when brothers came home and then all of a sudden they turn and go another way. But the question is, are you afraid of that happening within your marriage? Well, I can't walk around life being afraid. I fear no one but Allah. And I know that it's a hard thing, a difficult thing, but life is difficult. Being Muslim is difficult. Striving to be this woman is difficult. So for me, it's more so I love him. He loves me. And we're going to continue to strive to make sure that we do exactly as we plan. And that's be together until eternity for the rest of our lives. And there has been people in our community that's done it. And I have to say this, I give all honor to the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad given to us through the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, because we have an example in front of us to follow and to help us stay on the right track, whether you're a brother or a sister. And with that being said, the knowledge of going into ourselves and understanding ourselves first and loving ourselves first is one of the first things that we do in the teachings. So I think that coming together, yes, is difficult, but we make it happen.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. All I could think of as a person listening is like, I don't think I've heard people love like this. So, Khadijah, I mean, You know, I interview people on this show all the time. I don't know what episode this is that I've done in my life, but I interview wives and couples, and I don't
So
hear it like
so
I hear it from prison wives.
so alhamdulillah, you're going to find a success story or
Yeah.
two or three or four. The problem is that you have more stories that don't turn out so successful. So you don't really want to. I mean, you would like it if brothers came out, Muslim brothers came out, they got wives, they got married, they got their head together, and they build on our community. And yeah, we're all walking around and everything is alhamdulillah. But that's not a reality. That's not how that works. You may have a situation, and because you've had longevity with this person, y'all have a different type of connection than the person who just met somebody, who just took shahada, who just got convicted, facing a lot of time. So it is different because everybody's situation is different.
And Brother
What I
Anthony said he
what
hasn't seen a case. Brother Anthony said he hasn't seen a success case.
and it's few and far in between. There are brothers who have come out. They have started big businesses, millionaire businesses, culinary arts. There are so many talented brothers in jail. It's just a shame. It's a
Yes, it
shame
is.
that this system has really tried to cripple us the way it has, because
Mm-hmm.
we can move out from under Islam and just go to the plight of the African American in this country alone has been devastating to us. So it's very difficult for black people to strive, period. And black minority, it's this country is it's a lot. I was a civil rights baby, so I've seen a lot. I've come up with a lot. I think we have to move past the red flag. I
Okay.
feel, I heard, and start doing some fact finding. The first thing I recommend for people to do is there is something called the Freedom of Information Act. You need to know on paper what this person is really all about. You need to know what sentence they're facing. You need to see the pre sentence reports. You need to know who's been involved. You need to know how big this crime, how big this enterprise is, because there's people walking around talking about, I only did so and so, and they was part of a greater organization, and you had no idea what they were all into. So there is a Freedom of Information Act. You can get a certain amount of information that way. Anybody who's incarcerated, they have a caseworker, they have a team. That person should be able to give you an authorization to check in with that team on a monthly basis, that caseworker on a monthly basis, to find out what that person has been doing. Are they involved in programs? Are they having disciplinary action taken against them? Are they involved in fighting? Are they in a relationship with someone?
Oh,
What
they can
kind?
get you can get that information.
You can get any information, as long if it's not available under the Freedom of Information Act, the inmate himself has the right to give you the authorization to get that information. And if they're not willing to give you information, then there's no transparency. You don't know what you're getting into. And you should never walk into any relationship that blindsided,
Hmm.
because you'll be thinking, oh, it's a story I give. The person may say to you, oh yeah, well, I'm just here, I'm not a bad person, I just did a bad thing, which was told to me, which, because don't believe I'm not, don't believe that we're not all vulnerable. I'm not sitting up here on a pedestal saying, oh, I didn't, I didn't make the wrong choice, because I've made the wrong choices as well. And being a caseworker has given me more of an insight on what I need to do outside of my emotions, outside of what it looks like. Because yes, we get red flags all the time. We women, we get red flags, and we just go on by them
Right.
and
Well,
keep going. Just, oh yeah, well, and we keep going. But what makes more sense to me is you get that information. You see in writing what you're dealing with, because it is going to be inmates' behavior is documented. for several reasons. It's documented when he's in the beginning stages of his trial, what is going on from beginning to end, before the gavel hits. Are there conspiracies? Well, yes. That's where this lifetime's long sentence, sentence with life and whatnot, because the government's theory is, I'll give you life and let you spend 20 years fighting that conviction, because I'm going to get them 15 years out of you. I'm going to get them 20 years. See, so a life sentence, yes, the convictions for life sentences are overturned on a regular basis, because when you're in your pretrial stages, when you're in the beginning of your legal battle, it's going to go according to, will you take a plea or will you go to trial? If you take the government to task, they're going to be mad that you took them to task, and they're going to want to give you more time. And you've heard it said, well, if you plead guilty to 10 years, we'll let you out. But if you take us to trial, we're going to give you 50 to life.
Right.
So what
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? You've heard it, because
Mm-hmm.
you already know that you involved in a legal system that's not just, especially for
Black
blacks
people.
and minorities. That's not how it works. So yes, you're going to get that 20. Oh yeah, you're going to get, if you fight the injustice, they're going to give you that life sentence, because they know you're going to be in a law library and court system, speedy trial, speedy where. There's no speedy trial situation, because that speed is not based on what you think speedy is. That speed is based on what the law says it is. So everything drags out. Judge is on vacation for 3 months. What do you mean the judge is on vacation? Just when you getting ready to go to trial. Oh, that judge retired. Now we have to get a new judge. In the meantime, what happened to your lawyer? Oh, he quit, or he got indicted, or whatever the case may be. You got so much going on in this legal system. You have to get facts and information about what you're dealing with. You can't just say, well, he loves me, he talks to
Right.
me, he does
Right.
that. You have to
That is
know.
powerful, Khadijah. Sister Khadijah, I love what you're saying. That is powerful, and in general, I hope in general, women, we need to be following this advice in general, baby, because a lot of times we are led by our emotions, and sometimes when we feel so unseen, so unheard, no one really has met our emotional needs stemming back from childhood. When someone really sees us, hears us, they're there at those moments. That is sometimes satiating such a void that we're willing to kind of throw what you're talking about to the window. But I love that you said, hey, go by facts. So you said, okay, freedom of information, caseworker, what else? If someone just like Sister Lorena, which I'm sure she doesn't mind, she just got in a relation, or she's talking to a guy that's an inmate. What else should she be doing?
Set boundaries. Set boundaries. You have to set boundaries. When you're not a bank. You're not there to finance their circumstances. And it's like you said, well, I don't want him doing anything illegal to send me money. They're there because they have some of them have committed crimes. And they're not going to tell you everything they're doing behind the wall. They're not going to tell you. They'll tell you, oh, I got into a fight with someone and I got locked up. But if you read my book, it tells you a story about someone who was manipulating the system and making big bucks right there in a jail, doing something he had no business doing, stealing. So it's an
Yeah,
intricate system. This
it's
mass incarceration situation has so many different
levels,
branches,
but
so
yeah,
many levels
yeah,
that
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I don't, so okay. So I think there's so many. So this is where I want to just kind of culminate, because we went a lot over time, but I want to culminate some points of advice. And I'm gonna just kind of harness back on Sister Khadijah. I really recommend you guys get her book. But Sister Khadijah's point, because I myself, I shared this on my last live, but like, I'm a daughter of a man who of a my father raised me every day. I'm in my home until I was married. And he in his younger years, he did time. He spent time in the penitentiary. And my memory as a child of him was that he was there every day, and he had an honorable job, and he went to work and came home. And I actually didn't even know he had that experience until I was an adult. Like that's how much he had sort of just reintegrated back into society. So I remember at a certain point when I was like courting or, considering or whatever the case may have you, and a brother had done some time. And I remember, and just to speak to what you said, I remember him saying like he did one particular crime that I guess could be considered less threatening. And I remember when I actually pulled his file, you know, it was crazy. It was crazy. And it really was quite scary. And it did speak to some of, other behaviors and things like that. And I do just want to say sometimes, we do have to do that due diligence. And I say that in general, because like if someone says, well, I went in for, 'cause I was selling drugs, but then there's rap sheet, there's stalking, domestic violence, they was beating up women, killing cats or whatever it is, because there's all kinds of stuff. I think that's really important for women to understand and navigate. Because even for myself, I'm looking at it as, my dad was very functional, but that doesn't necessarily represent everybody's story. So it's important for people to be very smart. So my question or my final piece that I want to ask each and every person is your final piece of advice for number one, people who are navigating it or in it, because a lot of Muslim women are in it and they're all saying kind of the same thing. A lot of Muslim women are kind of fed up with how they are being treated, and they are finding this sort of treatment and being seen, being heard, someone that's there for them, someone that they can trust, someone that gives them the safety behind bars. That's what they're telling me in droves. But I want to ask, what is your final piece of advice as it relates to people who are navigating it? And what can you sort of speak to that? So I'm just going to start off with you, Brother Anthony, if that's okay. What would you say, some advice? And we had so many brothers that was coming onto the show, and a lot of them dropped off last minute. So I appreciate you, Brother Anthony. It's a hard conversation to have when you've done the time.
So, finding a mate or the difficulty of that is not isolated to the Muslims. I think that us as minorities or people of color, I think that something has been injected into our culture purposely, and I think that it is finally shown its head in its entirety, that are preventing really good people from being together for various different reasons. And I think that overall, as a people or just as culture, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I do believe that I believe there should be like a mass therapy thing going on to really sit down and almost like have a conference and discuss why we are all not coming together, because all you see is sisters trying to find husbands, and I know a lot of men that are trying to find wives, and it should not be this difficult. So I truly understand the sisters that turn to people, guys in prison. Um, um, I easily see that. I just hope that you guys be careful. And that's really all I got.
I appreciate that. Sister Joy, final piece of advice.
Well, my advice would be first and foremost to love Allah. Become one with Allah so that you can understand yourself before you even think about a man, whether he is incarcerated or not incarcerated. Um, I believe that um, if I was to give my advice with anyone being incarcerated, yes, do your due diligence, but also follow your heart, love that person, and strive to do your best at whatever you do. Don't allow money, don't allow people to tell you anything that's different than what you believe, because Allah will lead you to the right decision.
I appreciate that. Sister Laura?
Um, I think that my advice would be, I don't want to say I advise like specific situations, because it's not universal. It, not everyone could, is capable of being married to someone that's incarcerated. I think that going to like look for a mate that's incarcerated, I don't recommend that. I didn't go looking for that. I just think that you need to be aware of the challenges that you're accepting when you decide to get with someone that's in prison, because it's not easy. Any relationship is not easy, but adding on the challenges of incarceration, it makes it harder or make it more difficult. So just kind of be aware of what you're getting yourself into, and don't ignore red flags when you and follow your gut instinct. We all have gut instincts, and we need to like follow that and trust that as well.
Thank you so much, Naima.
Oh my goodness, everyone's just blurting out everything that I'm thinking, which is, all on point. Yes, most importantly, not most importantly, some of the important things, gut, always follow the gut. I did not last time around. So, I mean, gut feeling, watch out for the trends. Every person has a trend. Check for character. Definitely, definitely check for background. And most importantly, istikhara. Istikhara, istikhara, istikhara for the Muslim brothers and sisters. Always seek Allah. Allah will guide you, like the sister Joy said. Allah will guide you to what is good for you, whether it's a brother or sister who's incarcerated or not. And if you are leaning, if Allah allows your heart to lean towards someone who is incarcerated, then make sure you have weighed all your options before it. Put the heart away for a minute and don't think with emotions. It's so important to not think with emotions and to think with the head first. Emotions can come in later and we can get more intense and so on, but that should not happen right at the start. It's very important to think practically. As someone who comes from India, our families generally do a lot of background check before, when they're talking marriage alliances. So I will definitely stick with that. Um, Look for other references, other people who can give references, character references for the person, brother or sister. These are the many things that one can do, and definitely, definitely seek Allah in either case, and whatever Allah takes you to, ask Allah to be pleased to let your heart be pleased with it, inshallah.
I mean, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Okay, Sister Khadija. Um, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's heavy. It's a lot.
Okay,
And final piece of advice.
so because of my circumstances, because of my background, because of what I've dealt with for 20 years in dealing with that system, I cannot, under any circumstances, marry a brother that's been incarcerated because I've seen too much. I've had a caseload of 192 men every year for 10 years. I've seen so much drama, so much trauma, so much that I shy away from dealing with anything else that has to do with the situation other than trying to tell people what I've experienced. Giving dawah through my book as far as Islam, there's a lot of people who are, who are Muslim. They do not have their facts and information straight. If you were born at when I was younger, Islam and the civil rights movement and the Nation of Islam, and there was just a lot going on at that time, and a lot of facts and information got mixed up, and so you have the melting pot of Islam, and a lot of people really don't understand where we're going. You even got Muslims split up from Muslims. You got so many. We're not even supposed to be in different sects, but we are.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Sunni, I'm Sufi, I'm this, I'm that. Allah
Yeah.
subhanahu wa ta'ala said, you're supposed to be Muslims, so work it out accordingly. But it doesn't play out like that. So I really can't give, I'm not an attorney. I can't give you advice. I can make suggestions. I
Okay.
suggest that you find out more about the people that you are dealing with other than just emotions and letters. I suggest that you find out, a lot background information from beginning to end. And before that person gets sentenced to life, the government has already investigated everything about that individual, and you have access to that information. You need to know what you're actually dealing with. And a lot of times, as women, what we do is we don't seek this information because we don't want to find out that he's not what I thought he was going to be. Wow, that's your bubble is busted. I think what you need to do is, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Nisa, "O you who believe, stand firmly for justice, even if it's against yourself. Don't live by a fantasy. Oh, Lord's gonna lead me to, no, that's not how we are to worship Allah. You cannot take your responsibility as an adult and place it on Allah and make decisions that will harm you or harm your family or harm your children just out of sake of, oh, I love him. No, you have to do a little bit more. You have to do a little bit more work than that. We're women. We have to do more work. Sometimes you got to tough it out. You got to say no. You got to say, you know what, brother, I wish you well, but I got to move forward. Sometimes you got to do that, even if you don't want to. Women who are dealing with brothers that have been incarcerated, work hard, try to stay together, but then understand that their trauma will come in different ways, and be prepared to deal with it accordingly. And like I said, there are some success stories that are wonderful success stories, but unfortunately, there are some stories that are heartbreaking, that women give themselves so much, and then these brothers just turn around and do the worst that you could never even possibly conceive of. How could he even do something like that after I've given so much of myself? So, in closing, like I said, I couldn't do it. I pray Allah guide you all in your endeavors with relationships. I'm working on my own situation, inshallah. Sabria, I love you.
It's all
I love you.
subhanAllah. I love you too. You know what you said? I think your final point was really powerful. And all I could think of, I mean, professionally, I work in behavior, on human behavior. And, one of the things that's really challenging is how easy it is, like persona and personality, how easy it is to mask. And, persona personality actually is not your authentic self, right? So like someone may say, oh, they're charismatic, or they're funny, or they're charming, or they're very kind, or they're great, that's a personality, that's very adaptable, that can change. And then we have these sort of maladaptive personalities, meaning that people are adjusting, especially due to survival. And I think it's just really important to understand that one of the things I really want people to understand is that when you are connecting emotionally, especially like through screens, and not kind of out in different stratospheres and different environments. Even me, if I'm going to assess a behavior as a clinician, I can't even assess or identify a behavior in the absence of identifying it in multiple environments, right? Meaning that that's not a true behavior if I have to isolate it to one environment. Meaning that you can sort of kind of adopt and be whoever you want to be. And I think like it's really important for us to understand, it's not to speak against it or not, but a lot of people are wearing masks. A lot of people are pretending in an effort to survive circumstances. And whether you in prison, not prison, because child, we can talk about it on both sides. The key is that you do have to use the faculties that God gave you. What Sister Khadijah, what you just said was so powerful. It is really not sufficient. I hear women say it all the time. Well, we just pray, and I just think Allah is going to bring it. That's not what He meant. We have a manner, we have a responsibility, we have a charge, because He's given us faculties. He didn't just give us emotions. He gave us our mind, our psyche, our spirituality. The thing about the woman in particular is that He's given her this spirit and this alignment in spirit. That's why you talk about women's intuition. It's really the soul. and it's that spiritual nature and state that allows her to bring a child into this world. That is something that really should be trusted and leaned into, and not in a kind of fantasy way, in a way that is in deep alignment, meaning that, if 1 + 1 can only equal 2, it never can equal 5. So if someone has, behaviors, or they're in a particular environment that suggests that, you do have to assume that that is congruent, like their behavior is congruent with the environment that they're in. So only thing I'm saying is that as women, I do want us to really operate more from the space of abundance instead of scarcity. I think a lot of us are operating because our choices or the experiences that we've been through are so bad. So we're operating from the space of sort of scarcity. And sometimes we're not really looking at things for what they are. Those boundaries are incredibly important. Women have to say no a lot more than what we're saying. You have to say no. Like during the time of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the Ansar women were known for that. Like that was what they were known. The helpers of the Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam were known for saying no. And I think that's important because it shows that their obedience was definitely just to Allah Subhanahu Wa Ta'ala. It wasn't to a man. So I just think I wanted to just say that and just speak to that, because there's so many cases, and I've gotten floods of cases just today, and I couldn't even bring it up, of like sisters that unfortunately, they dealt with kind of down low situations in jail, where there was sort of relationships, homosexual. I couldn't even get into that. But what I'm saying is that we want everyone to be smart. We want us to have these dialogues. We want us to be, I really appreciate you sisters for coming on here, for being vulnerable, for being willing to talk about it, for brother, you talking about it, Sister Khadija, because we want you guys to really, really navigate this situation with all the information possible. We want us to be a good thinking group of people. We don't want to be people that are so conditioned by our trauma that we're trying to offset our trauma by how we feel all the time. We have to be a people who are a lot more conscious than that. So I really appreciate you, Sister Khadija. I hope that makes sense. Brother Anthony, may Allah bless you and reward you. I feel like your story was just authentic and real. You didn't come on selling us roses and sunshine. So I appreciate, or unicorns. So I definitely appreciate you. Brother, you have some books. Can you drop them real quick for me? Brother Anthony? I think you're muted.
I'm sorry. I had 2 books on Amazon. One was done through a publisher and it's no longer available. And the other one is Maxine Shaw, The Deadly Game. It's a thriller. And I think you probably enjoy it. It's not a hood novel, but I think you'll probably enjoy it. And that's on Amazon.
We appreciate that. And Sister Naima, I think you have a book, right?
Yes, my husband's book. It's called The Poetic Ink, The Beginning. It's his first book. It's also on Amazon right now. His pen name is Anonymous Quote. So you could quote KQUOTE.
Please drop it in the chat if you can.
Yes.
Brother Anthony. Yes. And before we go, Sister Laura or Sister Joy, are there any books or things or ways people can stay connected to you that you want to drop really quickly?
Well, yes, my husband has a book called Don't Fail, and he does curriculum writing, and also we have the Force and Power couple that you'll be seeing very soon between him and I. So please just continue to keep following me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I couldn't thank you enough for allowing me to speak on your show.
I appreciate you, sis. Make sure you drop it in the chat as well. Sister Laura, any deets you want to drop? Or
No, I don't have any books or anything like that. Just we do a Islamic prison ministry that I have, and I could share that page.
Please, we would appreciate that. Thank you. And Sister Khadija, for the last time, but no, once again, can you drop your book's information so people can grab it?
In God we trust, in jail we pray, PREY. Look for me on Facebook, Diane Ford. If you have any difficulty in finding the book, If you have any questions that you want to ask me that you couldn't ask on the podcast or you wanted to ask personally, be happy to have a conversation with you. I think 20 years of working in the federal prison system is by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a calling for me, because it wasn't just it started out as just a job, but I've left there so long ago. But the trauma of it tells me that I have to let everyone that I meet know what you're up against. And that's my real purpose, to encourage people to teach their children. It's funny, my degree is in childcare, and the damage that is done to a lot of us starts in childhood. So it's really important for us that we have children, we have nieces, we have nephews, that we really explain to them what the system is all about. And my book is written for a fourth grade reading level for a reason. One of the comments from my readers was that it needs to be in a middle school setting. Our children are being lost to social media. They're dancing around on TikTok, not reading books. And it doesn't speak very volume for the future, because all I see is prisons being built. I
Right.
don't want my children looking for a spouse in prison.
Mm.
I want to encourage parents to I want to encourage parents to educate their children. I want to encourage and women who are dealing with brothers who are incarcerated. As a caseworker, I created a lot of release plans. Don't think I was just there not doing what I wanted to do. As a Muslim,
Mm-hmm.
it was on me to give a lot of brothers directions on which way to go. And that's one of the reasons why I was always fighting with the administration, because I would not allow them to just crush
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
spirits of a lot of brothers. And I have brothers here in my community that
Right.
know,
And
they
navigated it.
know me, and they say when Miss Ford was a caseworker, she worked for us. She did what she could to help us along, creating release plans for people and finding out information, just visiting, talking about visiting and what you should expose your children to and what you shouldn't.
Yeah.
As I said, read
And
my book, because it's a lot of information
yes,
about
we
what.
appreciate you so much, Sister Khadija. We
Yes,
have
ma'am.
really went
Thank
way
you.
over time. We have got to let people get some sleep, including my humble self. But I appreciate it. Please grab the book. Please grab it and tap into the sister Khadija. As you can see, she has a plethora of information. Everyone here, please continue to tap into them. Again, we thank you guys for this conversation. These
Inshallah.
conversations are not easy, right? They're not easy to navigate. I was like walking on a tightrope because I wanted to more so amplify and honor your stories, while at the same time, I still have a responsibility as a behavioralist, someone in the field that deals with a lot of cases that are not so good. And we want also people to be smart. And they're honestly, we are seeing a surge of more relationships of our women in particular with men. It's always been there, but we are seeing a surge in recent times, and we do think that is due to a particular trend that is happening in our community. Something's kind of what Brother Anthony spoke to. And we really want you guys to reach out for support, and don't do this, navigate this alone, right? And really use your resources, really talk to people who have done this, be smart. We're hoping we're giving you some resources and some information. And may Allah make it easy for each and every one of us. Please forgive us for oversights, for offenses, okay? We did not mean to offend. If that happened, I take full responsibility for it, not my guests. I appreciate all of you for coming on. Thank you so much for Don't Muslim Women podcast. We're going to see you guys during Ramadan for our Ramadan series. We appreciate you guys for navigating these tough conversations, for being real, for being honest. And we appreciate you always. Take care until next time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.